Allan is the leader we all aspire to be. He's got real heart, he's smart, he listens, but he's got a really quick wit. And it's much better to bring people together when they're laughing together.
When I was at prep school, I took a speech course in my senior year, but I was petrified until I was at least 35 of speaking publicly. Then I was forced to either talk or you don't get your points across.
Allan's voice he comes into a room and you know he's in the room. But it's not a demanding voice, it's a welcoming voice.
You know, if he hadn't been the president of Wayne and the vice chairman of Ford and chairman of the Henry Ford Health System Board, he could have been Walter Cronkite.
It's a window to him, but it's also a little bit misleading because, again, it's so elegant and it's so refined. And while he certainly is all of those things, he's also the kind of guy who can tell a joke on himself better than anybody I know.
Allan is an individual of the highest integrity. An individual that cares deeply about community and about organizational excellence, but he does it in a way that brings people in, doesn't push them away.
What Allan does is he finds the common threads that bring us together, and then because he can make it fun to be together, it's much easier to work and make things happen.
Allan doesn't even really need to talk about diversity. It's part of his DNA, it's part of who he is, his values. And so when you talk about inclusion and you talk about people, it's about respecting others. It's about the dignity of each person. It's about every group, every individual feeling like they belong.
It's the right thing to include everyone who wants to be included. And it isn't so much that we want the diversity for the sake of diversity. We want the diversity of background. We want the diversity of experience. We want the diversity of thinking. We want the diversity of different people working together where their ideas will rub against each other, if you will, for a greater good, a better answer.
So it's very easy to use him as a role model because frankly he probably is kind of representative of what we all want to be healthy, to be engaged, to have the energy and the enthusiasm to learn new things every day. That's who he is, and that's what we're all learning from as he has taken on this new role at Wayne State.
That was a perfect job for Allan Gilmour. At his stage in his life, he can provide the drive, because he's got the drive, and he can provide the leadership to Wayne State that I think Wayne State needs right now. It's the perfect mix, in my opinion.
I attended a class, and as I sat there, and they sat on the floor at the DIA, and learned about the murals there in the Great Hall. Fascinating experience. And you see their reactions, and you say, hey, this is what we're here for. This is what we do.
It's one thing to be a numbers guy, which he totally is, but he said you have to move outside that realm in the world now. You have to use your imagination. You have to ponder.
The world is moving too fast, and knowledge is changing too quickly for you to stop learning. More than any prior generation, you will be challenged constantly to reinvent and re-educate yourselves, regardless of your chosen field of work.
I'm always curious about what Allan decides to take on, and I believe it's really depending upon his belief that he can make a difference.
But I think we all try to figure out what's going to be important. We also figure out what's interesting to us. There's limited time. Work on the things that where you think you would make a difference.
He has been the chair or co-chair of the Hope Fund of the Community Foundation for probably 15 years, ever since it was put together. The Hope Fund is a really outstanding effort of volunteers to provide resources to meet the special needs of the gay and lesbian community.
The Hope Fund, which stands for Helping Others Through Partnerships and Education, started in 1994 and 1995 at the Community Foundation with some activists urging the Community Foundation to get rolling.
And because of his leadership, the work of these volunteers, $1.3 million in grants has been made to help the very demanding and special needs of that community.
It was really an example of his leadership, because most LGBT organizations get very little funding. And so having that fund with his leadership and the tremendous role model that he is for the community said a lot about what others could do.
Well, Allan is a real inspiration because any of us who think, you know, we've sort of done it, he's just beginning again. And so it says to us, come on now, you've got another 30 years, you got to go to work on this. It takes energy to do this, and somehow he has endless energy.